الحمد لله الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا ونبينا وشفيعنا وحبيبنا وطبيبنا وملجانا ومولانا محمد صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله تعالى.
قال رسول صلى الله عليه وسلم: أكرموا أولادكم وأحسنوا آدابهم. It's a topic which I'm very passionate about because of my involvement with the children for many years. And Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam saying, Akrimu, honor your children and train them well. Today's youth are born into a world of war, where we find the less intelligent amongst us become the leaders. And as I explained in the week, the hadith about the signs of the hour, one of the signs of the hour is when you will find less intelligent leaders that are not deserving to be leaders, they will be chosen to rule over us. And this is the signs of Akhirul Zaman. You also find that the youth have to face the fame, especially on TV and advertising and various other types of distractions and attractions, which comes very easily because of impropriety. You find many governments today, and this is what the youth is saying. I'm trying to give a perspective, how is the youth looking at it? You see, the youth is seeing that many governments, they spend most of their money on weapons rather than food, development and education. We are finding that our youth are seeing that the big corporate companies, they dictate international policies for material gain at the expense of thousands of innocent lives. We've seen that along the centuries, this been happening. And so many examples can be given about it. We find today, especially in America, they are suffering because of the international economic crisis they are facing. Despite ExxonMobil, they are posting a quarterly profit of millions and billions of dollars. Yet, we are paying, and they are paying record prices for gas and so forth. We're also seeing the youth is facing global warming, and it has already started its negative effect on the earth as we know it. And we can see the destruction that is being caused, we can see the effect it has on the weather, and so forth. We can carry on. So the youth must be wondering, what type of world are we living in? What are they going to inherit from us? Whether the leaders of the nations are capable of telling the truth, or whether their parents have the ability to teach them how to create a world where peace, liberty, justice, equity, rule of law, economic fairness, human equality, human rights, these are the terms which we would like to see in our lifetime. And it is also something we want to leave as a legacy for our children to inherit. They are seeing the racism, the greed, the religious hatred that have fanned the fires of war. We see it in the newspapers, the magazines, the films, the novels. And they continue to pose a threat to the cultural and religious identity of billions of people of the world. So how do we ensure? The question we have to ask. How do we ensure that the children become upright, world-class citizens and are spared the vicious cycle of ethnic and religious hatred, the human greed and the lust of power? And with a few minutes in hand, we'll try to share a few ideas and thoughts. We must ask, will the children be able to transcend this ethnic and religious hatredness and the lust of power, and to foster a global society and the principles of freedom? It will depend on what you and I as parents teach and nurture our children, the future generation in the making. That's what it is. So that they can be good and worthwhile and useful citizens. And there is a way out, but we have to address it. We have to look at it. The challenges that are facing the youth. There's an identity crisis. Who am I? What is my purpose here? They ask these questions, especially university students when they come. They also have this lack of self-esteem and confidence. Speak to them and you see how apologetic they are, how worthless they feel. They also feel a sense of hopelessness. Where am I going? What is my aim? We just come for salah 5 times a day and that's it? Is that what our aim is in life? And the impact that the youth are facing of the electronic media is horrendous. You can't even fathom. If we go home, if you look at the social problems when we address it, the first thing when the husband comes home, flops himself in the sofa. On with this. His son, mashallah, lots of exercise. On with the remote TV. The sense of communication is gone. We find that the competitiveness, the challenge of competitiveness in education is, they are also facing that. And they find themselves under pressure. There's of course the generation gap. Some people are probably asking, what is this generation gap? We find it is a continuous source of pain and confusion for every successive generation. That has been happening for centuries. What is the old adage of us? You know what? You want this? Must I buy this? When I used to buy something, it used to cost a shilling, $2, and the Ola, 2.16. Some of the children don't even know what we're talking about here. By the way, that's the economic system of our fathers. We also grew up into that. This is the generation gap we are talking about. And we throw this into their faces all the time. So the generation gap occurs where the older and the young people are really on the same page because of their different experiences. This is what we have to address in our youngsters. And it leads to differences of perspectives, of tastes, of outlook, of priorities. This is what's happening with our youth. You will find children coming even to our madrasa, cell phone. What do they need a cell phone for in the madrasa? And it goes off even in madrasa. While they are learning. Simple etiquette and adab. By the way, switch off your cell phone. We find that the younger generation often finds itself at odds with the old generation. Perhaps it is human nature, after all, for the young to stand apart from the old and to pronounce their judgment on the past, dreaming out aloud how things were in the past and how it could have been. Until, of course, the time comes when you, O youth, will reach that level as well, for we have become wiser and we will come to realize that we will be judged. Because we were also youth and we did exactly the same. So young people, they are agile, they are motivated, they are dedicated, they are dynamic, they have sharp analytical skills, which when tempered with wisdom and the experience of the elders, it can yield beautiful and powerful results. And we just have to look into the Quran. Let's go to the prophetic examples. Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam is one of inspiration and enlightenment and uniqueness, where you find a young man rebelling against his people of the decadent traditions they were into, worshipping idols. His father was making the idols other. And he used to defy the dominant values of the time of the society in the form of the tyrant king, as we know as Namrud. Namrud ki khudai jo fi nar ho gayi, he says, the poet in Urdu so beautifully. As we know the story that Namrud was the one who threw Ibrahim alayhi salam into the fire. But yet, he did not deviate from his principles. No, he was strong. We can also take a lesson from Surah Luqman, how father and son is having a conversation and giving and teaching him values and life skills. That's what Surah Luqman is doing. We find also various Anbiya, the respect and care and love. It was visible. It wasn't fake. They did that to their own children as well as to fellow human beings. We find that with Nabi Isa alayhi salam, where Zakaria called out alayhi salam, Rabbi, inni wahana al-azmu minni wasta'ala al-ra'su shayban wa lam akum bidu'a'ika rabbi shaqiyya. He said, my Lord, my Rabb, indeed my bones have become feeble and grey hair has spread on my head. And I have never been unblessed, Ya Allah, with my dua to you. وَإِنِّي خِفْتُ الْمَوَالِيَ مِنْ وَرَائِي وَكَانَتِ امْرَأَتِي عَاقِرًا فَهَبْ لِي مِنْ لَدُنْكَ وَلِيًّا. And you say, oh Allah, I fear my relatives after me. I fear my family after me. Since my wife is barren, my wife cannot bear children. He's looking for to leave behind a legacy in the form of a pious child. Don't we all? Ameen, Ya Rabbi. So he says, فَهَبَ لِي مِنْ لَدُنْكَ وَلِيًّا. And this is what we must do. Make dua. So give me from yourself an offspring, an heir. يَرِثُنِي وَيَرِثُ مِنْ آلِ يَعْقُوبَ وَجَعَلْهُ رَبِّ رَضِيًّا. Who shall inherit me and inherit the posterity of Yaqub alayhi salam. In other words, we're speaking about the inheritance of religious knowledge as well as the risalah, the prophethood. We're not speaking about welfare. And that's what we want in our children. We make dua, we expect them to give them values, and they must go for education. Money you can make. And make him, Ya Allah, says, وَجَعَلْهُ رَبِّي رَضِيًّا, and make him, my Rabb, one with whom you will be pleased. Amen. And we find in the Quran Nabi Yaqub alayhi salam and the story of Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam, how we find the siblings gathered against Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam, a handsome but principled man, and we know the values that was instilled in him and how stayed away from the enticement of the wife of Fir'aun. And this is the challenges we are speaking about that our youth is having, the enticement, because everything is related to haram. And the advertisement, when it comes to a car, they have a lady half naked. When you have an ice cream, they have a lady half naked. When you have this, they have anything. This is the things that our children are facing. We also find the situation between Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam and Nabi Ismail alayhi salam. We find the conversations, we find the adab, we find the respect that is being shown. And this idea these are what are the values which our youth are facing today, which we find, and the old people are saying, there's no more respect left. There's no more love left. This is what we are saying. Of course there is left. Maybe not in the abundance that we are seeing it like we used to in former years, but that lies in our hands. We have to train them. We have to give them. Because we find that the mission of Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the social classification of his followers, if you look at his followers, who was his followers? They were young and they were poor. And they were rejected by the old and they were rejected by the wealthy. This is the normal social classification that we tend to find. And throughout the life of Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he maintained a balance. He respected the wisdom of the elder companions of Sayyidatina Khadija radiallahu anha, Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, who became his father-in-law, Sayyidatina Khadija became his wife. That's to show the old Nabi al-Islam was 25. They were much older than him. But he also appreciated the dynamism, the sharp insights of the younger companions like Sayyidina Ali, karramallahu wajh, and Sayyidatina Aisha, whom he eventually married, radiallahu anha, and Abdullah bin Abbas. So we are saying, my dear brothers and sisters, that we have to create building blocks for a healthy development that will help young people grow. And they will be healthy, they will be caring, they will be responsible. That when it comes to family support, they will provide. They will have the physical care of themselves as well as the material care. They will be aware of the safety and the love. There will be positive communication as far as the family is concerned. And we have to be very ensure that, like Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says in the beautiful hadith, "Al-rajul idha dakhala baytahu khashi'at imra'atah." He said, when the person, when he comes home, his wife becomes fearful. وَهَرَبَ وَلَدَهُ, and his children run away from him, and his servant hurries out of his way. But when he leaves the house, فَإِذَا خَرَجَ بَيْتِهِ, Ya Allah, when he leaves the house, then the wife is happy, the children are happy, and his family is at ease. Many times when I go alone with my friends sort of a break or a weekend fishing or whatever, my fellow say, Ya Allah, no create a holiday break. Of course, mashallah, we have a good relationship. We do it in joke. But having said that, sometimes we need that bit of space because we do things differently. We also have to have good education and positive role models, inside and outside. Because the best thing or inheritance that a parent can provide for the benefit of a child is good moral training. We have to create avenues for our children of involvement, of empowerment, and for compassion, and have venues where they can feel at ease and be guided. We have to forge a positive Muslim identity for them, because many a times they don't know what they are. And when you look at someone, when you go to anywhere, you don't know if you must greet, or you must say good morning, or you must say namaste, or whatever. The identity is not clothes don't make it man necessarily, but you must have some semblance of respect when you wear clothes. There is a dire need to engage the youth directly into active participation in the dynamic workings of our society. We cannot sideline them, and we must carry on promoting and doing our work. No, they must be part. We must nurture them. We must bring them forward. And not when we have passed away from this dunya, then they are at loggerheads and they are fighting like anything. Then we have failed, my dear brothers and sisters. It also makes them, if we do this, that there's a sense of belonging. That's how they feel. There's a sense of belonging. They care. And then they won't grow up selfishly in a lonely world. Because we must understand, my dear brothers and sisters, that our children are learning and they're excelling, mashallah, in the academic world, and they're leaving our shores. They're leaving us alone. They're going for better pastures. But can they handle the pressures in the environment that they are in? If they have not got good values from ourselves, they will come back hopelessly, and they will fail. We find today the image of Islam and Muslims worldwide. The pressure is not only on us, it's also on the youth. We find that there's a mounting Islamophobia that has been going on for quite some time. The first impression when you see a Muslim, he's guilty, or he's guilty by association. That is what is happening today. And you have to prove that you are one of us and not one of them. Isn't that being very familiar with the previous regime in America? Bush used to say that. You are either with us or you are against us. And history has shown that is not the way to go. But we have to guide our youth for that. There are huge global issues which affect us as Muslims. There's huge social pressure. What do the people say? What do they think of me? Do they accept me? Are they laughing at me? Are they ridiculing me? These are the questions which the youth are asking themselves and they are facing. How can they address these issues? Most visible symbols of Muslim life are favorite targets of this type of pressure. And we're speaking about hijab, we speak about the beard, and ironically, the ridicule and the pressure that you face, this type of for hijab and all the clothing and the beard, is in the Muslim countries. A few years ago, I was in Turkey, and I was wearing this amama. I was told by police, in no uncertain terms, I'll be going to jail, because it's not permissible to wear this. Of course, the interpreter was telling me, and the interpreter was explaining to him that I'm a foreigner. So on that type of basis, they relented. But you've seen the instances in Turkey, the scarf story, and all other parts of the world. You can't even identify yourself to be a Muslim. You must walk like you must phase into the society and not make yourself conspicuous. These are the challenges that is facing. The children are also facing, besides the generation gap, there's also the cultural clashes that we are finding, that you are Irani, you are Pakistani, you are Afghani, you are African, and all these are the clashes that is facing them. And the negative image of Islam, of our Iman, is tremendously off-putting for them. They don't know how to react with it, and it affects their self-esteem. So we need to have solutions. You may define the ideal youth as a balanced individual. It exhibits a highly spiritual life, informed by absolute moral values, whose behavior demonstrates qualities such as honesty, righteousness, humility, consciousness, and everything else that he or she does. But to do that, the parents have to provide a beautiful, homely, and external atmosphere for them to grow, to show love. Because many of our children are deprived of love. Simple things of love, kissing a child. When Nabi Muhammad was kissing his grandchildren, a Sahabi said, Ya Rasulullah, we don't kiss our children. He said, Astaghfirullah. So you see your frozen, what is this? That means your heart is bereft of softness. This is a problem. Khalil Gibran says so beautifully. He says, parents are the avenues through which children enter this world. They come through you, but they don't belong to you. Subhanallah. Parents are the first line of comfort, please. It will be sad when a child comes and the parent is not the first line of comfort. And we are finding in society, don't we find incest taking place? Astaghfirullah. These things is reality in society. When a parent, a grandparent is supposed to protect, cherish, love and honor those children, yet they are abusing them as well. Astaghfirullah ma'adallah. Love them, cherish them, empower them, honor them. Sayyidina Ali says, Karramallahu wajh. Train them with a training different from your training. for they have been created for a period different from yours. True, isn't it so? Oh people, Allah says in the Quran, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara. Oh, you who believe, protect yourselves and your families against a fire. وَقُودُهَا النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَةُ, whose fire is the fuel, is men and stones. عَلَيْهَا مَلَائِكَةٌ غِلَاظٌ شِدَادٌ لَا يَعْصُونَ اللَّهَ مَا أَمَرَهُمْ وَهُمْ يَفْعَلُونَ مَا يُؤْمَرُونَ. Over which are appointed stern angels, severe, who do not disobey from executing the commands of Allah. But they do that which is commanded. Oh youngsters, I address you. If a young man shows honor, says Nabi alayhi salam, ما أكرم شابا شيخا من أجل سنه إلا قبض الله له عند سنه من يكرمه. If a young man shows honor to an old man on account of his old age, Allah will create for him in his old age someone who will show him honor. So it's a two-way traffic, my dear brothers and sisters and our youth. But also, Nabi alayhi salam warns us, he is not of us who is not kind to our juniors and shows no respect to our elders, nor bids what is wrong and what is good. One day in Basra, there was an elderly man, very doted, only had one child, a son. Invested everything in him, and he sends him for education in Baghdad, and eventually comes back. And as he looks at his son, in his eyes, and he's disappointed. And he says, what have you learned, my son? And the son says, I have learned everything there is to be learned. And his father says, go, my son. Go. Go learn what you cannot be taught. Go and learn what you cannot be taught. And off he goes back to his ustad, the sheikh. And he says to his sheikh what his father said. And his father, and this ustad says, take these 400 sheep and off you go, and when it becomes 1,000, then you come back. Take these 400 sheep, go, and when you come back, it must be 1,000. That's the only time you can come back. And off he goes. He goes, and for the first time, he's encountering silence, quietness, no one to talk to. He's talking to the sheep. The sheep looks back at him, hey, stupid, what do you expect an answer from me? This is, what do you expect? Eventually, slowly, his pride, his ego, his arrogance, all went away. And of course, his sheep multiplied, became 1,000. After 2 years, he comes back, and he falls down at the feet of his sheikh. And he says, I now understand when you said that I can learn what cannot be taught. Subhanallah. It's very strange, not strange, that all the Anbiya Allah, they were all shepherds. Before Risala came, or before Risala was made manifest, they were shepherds guarding and tendering after their sheep. They used to go. Today in Tasawwuf, Sufism, we will find that the sheikh will create a scenario where it's called khalwa. You go for 2 months, 3 months, 40 days, and you go into seclusion, total seclusion, where even your food and the aura that you recite is monitored by the sheikh. Why? To refine you, to make you cultured, to make you in touch with nature, to make you in touch with Allah. And that is the whole purpose. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. That man, we haven't created you, man or jinn, except for the worship of Allah. And we ask Allah in His infinite mercy to guide you and me, and to assist our youth to face these challenges, and to assist us to face our challenges. And may Allah give us the strength.